going to see something tonight that I don't think you see very often on television. People that I think the media claim don't exist. They do exist, and it's time for them to be heard. That was kind of cool. I've never seen that before. Hello, America. Tonight we have a special, Time to be Heard. The idea of this program actually came when I was speaking to my friend Charles Payne. He was on my show. When did you first tell me the story about the briefcase?
It's about a month and a half ago.
About a month and a half ago. He cried like a baby on my show. That's my gig, man. I asked Charles to take me to where he grew up in New York. He showed me a neighborhood in Harlem where he used to live, the neighborhood where other African-American kids used to beat him up for talking white or wanting a briefcase because he always wanted to be a businessman or wearing nice clothes. Charles shared his story with me, and I want to show you a little bit of it. This is different than what it was when you were growing up?
Oh, absolutely. Just trees, grass. I mean, some of the beautification stuff they're doing right now. This was an empty lot for at least a decade, and we used to throw rocks all the time.
You said, we were walking by this building, yeah. You said this is really what it felt like. This, when you lived here, it was more like this.
Yeah, they had these kind of buildings, 2 or 3 of them on each block, or just where you had lots that were just totally empty, and for a long time. And
you lived in that building. When you first moved to Harlem, yeah. You lived in that building?
Yeah, it was
one room.
Me, my mother, my 2 brothers, we lived in one room.
You were how old when you lived here?
I think we got here, I was 12, 13.
And you wanted to be a businessman. You always wanted. I come and I'm just in a shirt and a sweatshirt. You wanted to dress like this when you were a kid.
Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a businessman.
From there, you guys moved all the way down. How many rooms did your family have in this?
We had 2 rooms. My mother had a room, and me and my brother shared a room.
And right above that air conditioning.
Right.
That's
the 4th floor.
That's 12-year-old Charles Payne, right?
Looking out the window, listening to one of those old Japanese radios, you know. But this is where, like, to give you an example, the building was like, oh man, it was really tough. You know, we had no locks on the building. Anytime you walk in, there'd be someone, maybe a wino, occasionally a drug addict, you know, so you have to step over that person and walk up 4 flights of stairs. And, you know, it was obviously shocking, just culture shock. We had, you know, a lot of fights in the school here, but definitely, you know, it was tough because there was this real weird thing, like, you know, if you spoke a certain way, you were trying to be white or act white. We got in a lot of trouble for our clothes, for wearing the wrong clothes.
So, you got a briefcase.
Right.
What happened?
Well, got it for Christmas. I was so happy when I got it, and then the great thing about it was I got a bonus gift. When I opened it up, there was a calculator in there too. So, to say the least, that was a great Christmas for me. And you know, I started walking out to take it to school, and you know, one day I left it in my homeroom class. It was a plastic briefcase, and it had a little cheap lock. I come back, and it's cracked open, and it just blew me away because my mother worked so hard. I worked hard. I started working almost as soon as we got here. We had nothing. There's a store in the corner. That was my first job. When I didn't have money for that and needed more money, right here at this corner, I would buy paper towels and Windex and clean windshields. And when people stopped, and for whatever they would give me, I'd pack bags. In the winter, I would buy a shovel and go to store to store to store to store. And, you know, hey, can I shovel your snow? Whatever it took, because I was the oldest. So I was just thrusted into a sort of responsibility.
Where'd you go to college?
Minot State College in North Dakota and Central Texas College. I went to the Air Force to go to college. That was one of the only ways you could get out of here. You know, if you didn't play professional sports, or at least that was one of the only ways I thought you can get out of here. And I think that's one of the big problems now, is within a lot of black communities, that the thought is limited that you can only get out through rapping or being a professional athlete. And, you know, no one really talks about doing it through academics and things like that.
You vote for Obama?
I did.
Why?
I did. I was torn. I voted him, and then I voted all Republican. I was torn. I did it mostly out of a sense of obligation to Rosa Parks, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, people in my family who came up through Alabama. I'm really disappointed in a lot of ways. And I got to be honest with you. The president's getting a free pass within the black community on so many things. Where are the jobs? What are you doing for the little people? We're supposed to have a trickle-up economy. I remember those words distinctly.
I do too.
Trickle up. You don't trickle up if you give AIG billions and you give Goldman Sachs billions. You don't trickle up from there.
So what is it that we do?
I'm just hoping that somehow the kids, you know, because it's always about the youth, somehow the kids will be able to look around and say, listen, this is a guy, President Obama, who made it. I want to follow his footsteps and use his footprint. He made it through education. He's a wonderful speaker. He's got a great education. And that, to me, is ultimately how to turn all of this around.
Charles, I'm puzzled not just by your life experience as an African-American kid where, you know, you get beat up for wanting to excel. I think this is we open it up to everybody here. I think this is happening to all of America, where we're being told now you can't make it, and somebody's got to be there to help equalize everything. I think we're headed towards really dangerous territory.
I have to agree 1,000%. When you look at the role models for kids, and again, it doesn't matter what the color, you know, it's the message is that, you know what, it's almost like the dumber you are, the better chance you have of getting a reality TV show or landing a record contract. And
wait a minute, hang on, that doesn't speak highly for me. I got my own show. It's worked for me, America. Come on in.
But really, this is really something, if Americans aren't afraid right now, then they have their head in their sand. And the real sad problem is all of these influences, all these popular culture influences, have a lot more influence over the kids than the parents do. So you can imagine if it's a single parent just busting their butt trying to pay the rent. But, you know, that's the reality. And this is why America's on a very slippery slope right now.
Who thinks we're headed towards socialism?
Absolutely.
Okay, you were there.
Yeah, we're there.
Okay, what I'm trying to understand is if the government is playing dad, that's what's happening. The government is playing dad. He's going to equalize absolutely everything. And if I'm the dad and I've got two brothers, and let's say one's successful and one's not successful, and I teach the brother who's not successful and really isn't trying, or for whatever reason, that dad is just going to equalize and take from the brother who's doing well and just keep giving it to the other brother. At some point, don't both brothers give up? Don't they both just, because one can't, why am I working so hard? You're just giving it to him. And the other one doesn't have to work.
I think we're fighting for our right to be individuals. And what socialism does is it kills the spirit of the individual, your right to dream, your right to say, this is who I am, your briefcase. And collectively, black people have always molded together and have been thought of monolithically. And so now we're being challenged with speaking out and saying, I'm going to fight for my right to have a briefcase. I'm going to fight for my right to be a chef. I don't want to be a rapper. I don't want to be a football player. My dream might be to be a painter.
Oh, and by the way, there are more millionaire chefs than there are millionaire rappers out there, by the way.
And exactly, and
really?
We have to encourage that.
Wow. Maurice, you voted for Barack Obama.
Yes, I did.
But you think we're headed towards socialism
in some ways.
Okay.
Am I the only one up here who did not vote for Barack Obama? How can this happen?
You know what? I have to say, I'm reading, I don't know if anybody has read this book yet, America's Prophet. Have you read this? It's actually about Moses. It is a fantastic book. I'm not done with it. But I just last night I don't even know where it is. It's about halfway through, and it talks about the Underground Railroad. And I have to tell you, the African-American experience is overwhelming, just overwhelming. And I think if the roles were reversed, and I saw the first white guy to be president, even if I disagreed with him, unless I thought he was the Antichrist,